Friends, welcome to Dr. Mohanty's channel Modeling and Simulation. Today we are going to have a different topic for us to discuss. It is about essential plant nutrients. You know, we will be talking about essential plant nutrients, and why nutrients are essential for plants, because plant are the crops in the field. It has to complete its life cycle, both vegetative and reproductive stages. And just like we complete our life cycle, we need all those nutrients for our growth and development. Similarly, plant also needs this type of nutrients, and the deficiency of those nutrients, really hamper their growth and development. Just like other living things, plants need different nutrients for their growth and development and life cycle completion. So, Arnon and Stout actually they propose the concept of essentiality. So if somebody asks you what is the concept of essentiality, that means um, the plant's nutrients, the, if they are to be called essential, they have to follow certain criteria. There are three criteria that makes the plants nutrients as essential nutrients. Not all the, because we know we have 118 118 elements known to us, out of which 90 elements are found in the plant system. However, only 17 are essential elements, means 1 7, and to be considered as essential plant nutrients, they need to follow, or they need to what do you call it, they need to fulfill the criteria of essentiality as mentioned or coined by Annan and Stout. You know which year it is? In 1939. So friends, what are those three criteria? One, one is that the plant, that means if an element to be considered as essential, the plant cannot complete their life cycle, both vegetative and reproductive, you know, uh, without these nutrient elements. First, that means the plant cannot complete its life cycle, both vegetative and reproductive. Second, these elements are essential, must have specific role, and deficiency of these elements must be observed in the plants, and this deficiency can be corrected or prevented only by supplying that particular nutrient. Suppose it's nitrogen deficient in particular plant. So since nitrogen is an essential element, so only if you supply different forms of nitrogen to the plants, that deficiency can be corrected. So you got two. The third one is the element must be directly involved in the nutrition and metabolism of the plants. So these are all three criteria of essentiality. And there are also functional elements, and these functional elements proposed by Nicholas, and they also have certain roles in the plant metabolism. And the essential criteria, as I mentioned you, and what are those 17 essential elements? Do you have any idea? I know you know it, but still I have to mention. And these essential elements, 17, and there are some, as I mentioned by Nicholas, functional elements. So functional elements kya kya hai? Sodium, cobalt, vanadium, and silicon. There are functional elements, but I want to talk to you all essential elements. Do you have any idea how many essential elements we need for a human being? We need 19, 1 9, and for farm animals 18, 1 8, and for plants it is 17. And any idea what are those 17 elements? And I need to mention them. One is carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, 3, then nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, then calcium, magnesium, sulfur, then iron, manganese, zinc, copper, molybdenum, and chlorine and boron. So these 17 elements are essential plant nutrient elements, and how, if I consider how they are absorbed in the plants. So plant absorbs C means carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, mostly in the form of carbon dioxide and water from air. And what the function of these elements? These elements form the basis of carbohydrates and provides energy to the plants. Sugar, starch, all those things, and strength, and gives strength to the cell wall as well as stems and the leaves. And as I mentioned, they act as energy source, of course, for plants and also for other organisms. You know it. And this after these three elements CHO, there are 14 essential others. As I mentioned you earlier, NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium, sulfur, copper, iron, manganese, zinc, molybdenum, chlorine, nickel, and boron. And you know apart out of these 14 elements, you know that nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium, sulfur, they require in large quantity. That's why they are known as macronutrients. And others are they are required in relatively in lower proportion. That's why they are known as micronutrients. So if you talk about macronutrients, I mean bigger, those nutrient elements that are required in larger amount, then the there are again they're categorized in two categories: primary as well as secondary macronutrients. In primary, it is nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. In secondary, calcium, magnesium, sulfur. And these NPK nutrient, they contribute to plant needs. Their function, different biochemical processes. Then enzymes, also they're part of some enzymes, and provide, strength to the integrity of the plant cells. And deficiency of these nutrients lead to, reduce the plant growth. The primary, NPK. So all the fertilizers, nitrogen, you call it urea, source of nitrogen. DAP, both diammonium phosphate, so phosphorus and nitrogen, and potassium, MOP, muriate of potassium, so potassium chloride. Now you see all these, new primary macronutrients, they are actually required in large amount. That's why they are in the fertilizer materials. And the secondary macronutrients, as I mentioned, calcium and sulfur, and other essential elements like, iron, manganese, zinc, copper, molybdenum, boron, they require in small amount, less than 100 milligram per kg, means it's less than 100 ppm. Milligram per kg means ppm. So they require in small amount. And do you have any idea how these nutrients are taken by the plant? कैसे लेते हैं? Any idea? So you need to know actually. As I mentioned earlier, also these nutrient elements, just like carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, their molecular form, they're taken by the plant directly. These three nutrients enter into the plant in a molecular form, and rest are taken from the soil, and they are in through different processes, and they are: one is mass flow, second is diffusion, third is root interception. So I'll talk about little bit about these processes. What is mass flow? You know, uh, Mass flow, in large amount of flow occurs, and those nutrients, dissolve in water. They get into the plant system. So the movement of dissolved nutrients in water actually into the plant, as the plant absorbs water through transpiration, to the transpiration, when water is lost from the leaf surface due to process of transpiration, this gradient is created. So the plant absorb and outtake water from the soil, and thus through soil, through water, those nutrients are dissolved in water. They are taken up by the plant. So this is through the process of transpiration gradient created in the upper part of the leaf. And the process is responsible for transport of mostly what type of nutrients? Nitrate and sulfate, calcium and magnesium in soil. So in mass flow, you got nitrate, sulfate, calcium and magnesium. Next is diffusion. That means the movement of nutrients to the root surface in response to a concentration gradient. You know that the plant needs nutrient. So concentration of nutrient in the plant cell or plant is less than that of in the soil solution. When the soil solution is having more concentration or more availability of nutrient elements or nutrients, and plant requires them, then transfer, through the process, transport of nutrients from higher concentration or flow of nutrients from higher concentration to the lower concentration. That means higher concentration in the soil solution to the lower concentration in the plant roots. So in this process, a high nutrient concentration in the soil solution and low nutrient concentration at the root zone, which triggers the nutrient movements towards the root, and thus in this process the two elements, you may say phosphorus and potassium, being taken up by the plant. You got my point? Mass flow and diffusion. Then is root interception. Root interception, what, how the plant root always grow, and when the plant root grows, it will come in contact with the soil matrix or soil colloids, and nutrients present in those, being taken up by the plant roots. So it is a minor report, that still it is the process. Plant takes some amount of nutrient, and it's a mode of transport for, to, you can say, calcium and magnesium is nutrients, but it is a minor pathway for nutrient transfer. But still, plant roots are essential for water and nutrient uptake. So through that, so they'll help the plant to get some nutrient through this process. So friends, this is about nutrient uptake by the plants. Then, as I mentioned you, the mechanism of nutrient uptake means, if I summarize that again, so uptake of different nutrients, in the plant system. If I summarize all those 17 essential nutrients, so what are those nutrients that are taken up by mass flow? What are those nutrients that being taken up by diffusion, and what are those by root interception? You'll find nitrogen in the mass flow and the form in nitrate, phosphorus by diffusion, potassium by mass flow and diffusion both, calcium by mass flow, magnesium by mass flow, as well as root interception, calcium also by root interception, sulfur both mass flow and diffusion, boron by mass flow, copper by mass flow, iron by mass flow, diffusion, as well as root interception also, manganese by mass flow and root interception, zinc by mass flow, all three processes, molybdenum by mass flow. So these are all the processes by which all the nutrients being taken up by the crop, all essential nutrients I am talking about, because we are talking about the essential nutrients. If I ask you the forms of nutrient taken up by the plants and their mobility, how much mobile or soluble they are in the soil solution, so I have something for you. I want to discuss about that also. So as I mentioned you, all those essential plant nutrients, all 17, now I am talking about in categorize them in which form they are taken by the plant, and whether that's soluble or insoluble, their mobility, either more less mobile or more mobile, because sometimes you may get these questions whether nitrate is more mobile or less mobile. So let's have a look at those essential nutrients. First, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. As I mentioned you earlier, they are required in molecular form, and you get from air and water, so it's fine. There is no question of mobility or immobility in soil or plant system. Okay. Now coming to the primary and secondary nutrients. In the primary nutrient, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Let's talk about nitrogen. As I mentioned earlier also, nitrogen can be taken up by two forms, ammonium and nitrate. And mobile is nitrate. Ammonium is relatively less mobile because it absorbs under clay lattice also. So you can take that, nitrogen is, in terms of plant mobility, nitrogen is very mobile. Phosphorus, HPO4 and H2PO4 in two forms, and is immobile, somewhat mobile in the plant. Potassium, K plus, potassium ion, somewhat mobile and very mobile in the plant. In the soil, somewhat mobile, but in plant, very mobile. Coming to the secondary nutrients like calcium, magnesium, and sulfur. So calcium, and magnesium in Ca plus 2 and magnesium plus 2, divalent form, and both are, calcium is somewhat mobile in the soil, magnesium is immobile, and in the plant system calcium is immobile but magnesium is somewhat mobile. Coming to sulfur, it is in SO4 minus 2 in this form available. It's mobile both soil and plant system. Let's go to the micronutrient. Let's start with zinc. Zinc in the form of Zn plus 2. It's immobile in both plant and soil system. Let's comes to molybdenum, MO4 minus 1, somewhat mobile in soil system but immobile in plant. Manganese, Mn plus 2, mobile in soil, immobile in plant. Copper also, Cu plus 2, immobile in soil, immobile in plant. Iron, Fe plus 2, Fe plus 3, ferric and ferrous both the forms, and both are immobile in soils and plants. And cobalt, Co plus 2, immobile in soil, somewhat mobile in plant. Chlorine, Cl minus, as I mentioned, mobile in soil and plant. Boron, both BOH3 as well as 4 minus, so very mobile in soil but immobile in plant. So friends, so this was about uh, essential plant nutrients and how they are taken up by the plants and in which form they are taken and what are those processes that are involved in this. So I hope I'm making it short one. I hope it must have given you enough knowledge about these things, and we'll discuss. We'll have a different class for you where you'll get you know many question answer. I'll do it at a later part in my um, series of video lectures. So but now I hope this class will give you enough knowledge about essential criteria and essential plant nutrients. And to summarize the whole class, there are 17 essential plant nutrients categorized into primary, secondary, macronutrients, as well as micronutrients. In macronutrients, which form they are taken by the plant, micronutrients, which form, what are those processes. So I covered all those things. So thank you for watching. I hope you like my class, and it helps you, understanding about something you need to know. So I request you, please watch it and try to learn something without chalk, pencil, blackboard, whiteboard, no markers, nothing, just discussion and just express, sharing my experience with you and making soil science simpler. That is the essence of my channel and my motto. So thank you for watching. Stay safe in during this COVID period and have a great day. Enjoy, and thank you very much for watching my channel. So have a great day. Bye bye.